when you talk to me and my family and Eleanor's brother, you've got to remember that she's our gorgeous 17-year-old daughter with lovely kind of peanut butterish coloured hair, piercing blue eyes. And okay, she doesn't use a lot of words, but she does communicate really well. Unfortunately, the many and varied people in Eleanor's life tend to just see that. They tend just to see this very rare, and I think when she was diagnosed they said there were 16 people in the world with that karyotype. I think it's gone up with, as testing. But what does that tell you? And a lot of the parents that I meet, they strive for a diagnosis, and actually what does it mean? It's squiggles and lines and numbers on a page, but actually the person is a lot more important. So, what's important to our family? Obviously Eleanor is. And really it's very simple for us. Oh, there we are. Oops. I'm too far. Hold on. First time I've used an iPad like this, and I'm just struggling with it for a minute. I'll do it like this.
Do you want
No, okay. So, first of all, what's important, we think, is that Eleanor has opportunities to learn, to work and to live. Nobody's quite sure what she learns. We kind of know that she learns stuff. I'm really lucky that I'm just her mum. I don't have a professional association to go to. I don't have a boss to go to say, oh yes, Eleanor learns this because, she's done 2 stages, pivots, progress, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to do that. I simply know that she learns stuff. Opportunities to work. Controversial, maybe. I think Eleanor has a lot of skills. She has loads of people skills. I'd love to think somebody might pay her for that. But I'm also quite a realist, and I think, but she can contribute, she can give something back. So work in that widest sense of contribution and giving something back to her community, and to live an ordinary life, to live like any other 17-year-old. Do you know what I mean? That's really important for us. Obviously her well-being is really important. I spend my life trying to think of ways to reduce my calorie intake. I spend my other time thinking about how we can increase Eleanor's calorie intake. Her weight is a real issue. She has lots of inputs, like Ollie was saying. I mean, I'm sure it's similar that she needs daily physio. All sorts of different things. We absolutely obsess about elimination and constipation and how often she goes and when she goes and what it looks like when she goes and all sorts of stuff like that. Her environment is important to us. She does use a wheelchair. Weirdly, the biggest barrier to her living an ordinary life isn't people's attitudes, but it's hoists and hoist slings. And again, I spend my life obsessing really about going into every toilet. I'll go to the toilets here and check them out, just in case I'm over in Leeds again, and see if it's got a hoist. But actually we've sometimes found the most physically challenging environments, sometimes we've had fantastic experiences because they've been really welcoming. And sometimes we've been in places where actually physically it's fine, but they're so unfriendly, or they really question why she should be there. So really the environment in all its aspects is really important to us. And finally, we want her to have friends, to have a social life, to be part of where she lives. This kind of is what the system does. It kind of flattens all of that. And I've redone this, Monday. It changes, and it changes with transition. So you do it, like Ollie said, you kind of lose some things like paediatricians and community paediatricians. We've gained a social worker, so she's got 2 social workers now, God love them, and why, I don't know, I've got a transition social worker and an adult social worker. We've just gained a neuropsychologist, but she hasn't seen her yet. And again, I don't take any, I've used abbreviations because kind of that's what our life is like. Because as we all know, the parents in the room, hospitals always keep their appointments dead on time, don't they? Never change them. I really struggle sometimes with just life because I do 4 different jobs, I work evenings to service this lot because I have to be around during the day because apparently nobody works after 5 o'clock and they only work Monday to Friday, and it's really, really stressful. And a lot of them seem to be about well-being. Hardly any of them seem to be about social life. And some of the conversations we've had about learn, work and live, well, I could be here all day. Now, when I was preparing for this talk, I thought some of the things I've found in the past is if you just tell the story, it's really hard sometimes to relate to because you want to know the how as well as the what. But I've decided to sort of just bang this up and say this is what Eleanor's doing now, and I'm then going to unpick it to sort of pull out some of the key stages, the key things that happened. Eleanor went to a special school from the age of 2. She then went to a mainstream school from the age of 11, and we mainly chose a mainstream school because although Eleanor doesn't use a lot of words, she sings and she learns new songs, and we wanted an environment where she would get the opportunity of learning new songs. So it's a long story, but a year and a half of negotiation. Thank Christ I was trained by the TUC. She went to a mainstream school, and it worked really, really well. And again, I'm happy to discuss with you in the break sort of some of the elements of what made that work. A lot to do with person-centred planning, a lot. So when she was coming to leave school, and by the way, we started preparing for her leaving school in about year 8, because I think that's what families do. You talk to families with 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, and they're saying what's going to happen when they're an adult. So families start preparing very early and thinking about it. We wanted some more of the same. What we found is that we were having the same conversations at 14 that we'd had at 10. Why do you want mainstream? No, people like Eleanor go here. That's never been done before. It won't work. Blah blah blah. And you're just like. And at the time, I was in a bit of a difficult state. Eleanor had major surgery, and my husband had just had a stroke. So I had other things on my mind. But I also had a eureka moment. I thought, actually, Liz, you don't need to do it on your own. So we employed a support broker. And that was the best thing I'd ever done. Because a bit like Ollie was saying, I was really conscious that at 15, God rest her soul, I would not have liked my mother to have planned my life. So actually employing a support broker who made sure that we were planning for Eleanor and not for me or my husband was really important. And I'd say we were lucky that we had that facility in Hartlepool to do that. And again, it took 3 months of negotiation to use some of Eleanor's direct payment to pay for that service. What's come out of it, this is what Eleanor's doing this week. So on a Monday, she has 2 hours of music lessons with a local singing teacher. In the afternoon, she goes to our local we've got a Joseph Rowntree retirement village where they've got a therapy pool. So she goes and uses that. She goes to Girl Guides in the evening, and she's been to Girl Guides since she's been to Brownies and then Girl Guides since she was about 7. On a Tuesday, she does some painting at a local sort of pot shop where you can paint ceramics and they glaze them and fire them for you. Afternoon's a bit of downtime because we were finding that Eleanor was struggling to get through a full school day. Her health needs had changed. So she has a bit of physio, a bit of rest. And then she cooks. She goes to an adult education class at her old school on a Tuesday evening. Wednesday, she goes to the local sixth form college. She's in a level 3 health and social care class. Okay, now that came about because one of my jobs is I work for the National Residential College for Women. They were offering a bursary. The Sixth Form College said come and talk to us about it, so I did. We then got talking about barriers to young women's education, and then we got talking to barriers, and then we started talking about Eleanor. I happened to be speaking to somebody who was a health and social care person. The principal happened to be in the tea room and said, okay, we'll give it a go. What I've challenged my authority to say is, okay, that came about from a casual conversation. What's the local offer going to look like? What's that going to look like for, as Ollie was saying, people who don't have mothers who are TUC trained or who might be completely bewildered in terms of what opportunities are out there? On a Wednesday evening, she does a half an hour of totally laughter yoga. Very interesting, I'll tell you about that later. But it's laughing for no reason but not without purpose. And a lot of that is to try and dissipate some of Eleanor's challenging behaviour, because she will nip and scratch you if she's frustrated, in pain, or being a teenager. So do totally laughter yoga as a way of some exercises to try and dissipate that. Thursday, she's at a local voluntary group, Families First. She does some art. Friday morning, she's at a month-long project in Newcastle for people with learning disabilities, working with local artists, and she goes to swimming at the local baths on a Friday afternoon. Just see this. I'm looking at this because we've got 2 iPads now. Her other thing, which I just think is fab, is she's doing an IT project which includes this. Is it going to work now? Hold on. Come on. Sorry. Technology. So, which has been doing a technology project which includes going to a centre called Space to Learn, which has a lot of fantastic technology. She also does some fundraising, you'll see that in a minute, and also meets friends. Anyway, how did we do it? I just love that. Anyway, Nicola and Linda Jordan in March 2010 came to the National Valiant Families Forum, and I'm the North East rep there. And they showed us some of the work that they've been doing with the Getting a Life project, and I know there's some people from North Tyneside who are the North East people. And they showed me this diagram, and I went, that's what we did. So if you want a kind of summary of how to do it well, look at those materials, because they're fabulous, and I think it shows how early you have to start, and some of the things and processes that have to go on.